What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. It is Hump Day and 2 days from our last preseason game, and we're sitting here about 15 days from the start of the season. It's crazy how quickly all of a sudden it's kind of gotten around. It's nice to see the price of gas under $4 a gallon up here, because usually this is always the slowest one to go down. So if it's $3.99 here, it's probably about $3.80 everywhere else, which is great news. And speaking of great news, Michael Gallop. All right, here's the conundrum for the Cowboys. We as fans, we always look at it and say we need to sign people. In fact, if you look at the Eagles, anytime any player is out there available, you know that Philly 500 is going to be like, oh, we need to go get that. We got to go get that guy. Well, here's the reality. At this point, here's my thinking personally. Because there's so little practice time, we talking about practice. You've had pretty much all the installs that you're going to go ahead and do. You have the basis of your game planning and what you're going to do. The off seasons now, because of the collective bargaining agreement, don't allow you for a lot of time to actually practice. Back in the days when you had 6 weeks of training camp with 2-a-days, there was a lot of time to really practice and to get into shape. Now that you have 14 padded practices, that literally amazes me. There's 14 padded practices, and none of which you can actually tackle and take to the ground. There's only 3 opportunities to actually tackle somebody before the season starts, and that's 3 preseason games. And when you think about teams like our Cowboys that aren't playing any starters throughout the preseason, and nobody's really playing them very much, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to learn at full speed, with actually live action. So the problem of bringing in players at this point is they have to get up to speed in a very limited time window to learn your system. The thing that you have to understand is, the great thing for the Cowboys has been that Dak Prescott has been healthy this offseason. The fact that he's been able to work with, be it very young receivers, he knows those receivers, or he's beginning to really know those guys. He's understanding the way they run their routes. He's understanding where they like the ball placed. He's understanding a lot of the intricacies and being on the same page with them. And so as we look at this, and we've been told that, the Cowboys need to go out and get another receiver, to me, that's more of the fantasy football mentality where everybody believes that ultimately all you got to do is just grab somebody and throw them out there, and they're instantly going to work the same way they did in other systems. But the reality is much different. It hit me yesterday when Tampa Bay was talking about how they've been decimated on their offensive line and about going out and getting somebody else out there. The reality is there's not necessarily a lot of great players out there that are going to be able to help your team. The reason why they're out there is because they're not doing that well, or they're too expensive, and so on. So now that we have news that Michael Gallop is doing really well, that he wasn't put onto the beginning of the season PUP list, there's still time for him to do that. They have until Tuesday at 3 o'clock, but they could put him on there, and I believe the Cowboys are basically trying to really evaluate it and see, is there a chance? Because again, they could still put him on there and have a roster exemption for him. Is there a chance? And they'll take this week to really evaluate that. That's not to mean that he won't be on there. If they deem that he's not going to be ready those first 4 weeks, then they will put him on there. But the longer that goes, the better that recovery is. So now the question is, do you want to go out there and try and sign somebody else, bring them in and have to coach them up to be ready to play for that first week? In which case you're taking time away from your younger players. Or do you roll the dice and say, we're going to go with the guys that at least may not be great players in the scheme of somebody else that might be out there, although the only way you're going to get somebody that's going to be great is you're going to have to probably trade for them. And I don't know that going for trades, because I know guys like Rhaegar out there who need a change of scenery, if it's worthwhile to bring in a first-round drafted guy who has been a complete disappointment, as it is to go with somebody like Semi or Jalen Tolbert. I think that it's better to go with those guys. Seeing and hearing Michael Gallop having the no setbacks, that's the key on here. No setbacks, and being able to kind of begin to ramp it up, to me, says, let's go ahead and say, we're going to rely on the offensive line. We're going to rely on the running game. We're going to rely on 12 personnel to buy us more time until he does get back, and hopefully be able to get him back healthy and not have to rush him back and not waste resources on somebody who may be, but that's my thinking. I want to dig a little bit deeper in, but I need to do this when I'm actually back home in the man cave. It's funny when you look at Pro Football Focus, their ratings and stuff, because sometimes they're spot on. Sometimes you have to kind of look at them with the side eye and kind of say that's kind of way off. One of the ones that I'm sitting here thinking about is at the end of the season, they ranked the Dallas Cowboys offensive line as the number one offensive line in football. And I'm sitting here looking and thinking that the Cowboys had 9 different combinations of offensive line and led the NFL in penalties on the offensive line and could not run the ball. I don't know how you could turn around and say that the Cowboys offensive line was one of the best offensive lines in football. It just wasn't. They went through and named, of course, Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins, who both missed significant time in there, as great, but they were injured. And when you looked at the numbers the second half of the season, it was not good. So on the flip side of this, there's a ranking of Dak Prescott that has Dak Prescott at about the 12th spot. And I'm trying to understand how, I get it. When you're inside the top 10, everything is up for debate. But how is it in almost every category, between yardage, between touchdowns, between completion percentage, wins, if you're ranked in the top 10 in almost every statistical category for a quarterback, how is it, and the only one that is, how can it be that you're outside of the top 10? That's one of those ones that kind of mystifies. But of course, what they'll say is they'll handicap Dak, because they'll say, well, Dak's always got great receivers, or Dak's always got a great offensive line, or Dak's always got a great running game. The funny thing about, and we're going to have a real-time thing with this, and this is why I want to go through exactly what the person said. But we're going to be able to have a real-time check to see how Amari Cooper does without Dak Prescott. We had an opportunity with Randall Cobb to see his numbers before Dak, with Deshaun Watson, and then back with Aaron Rodgers. And you look at Randall Cobb's numbers were the best of his career. Best, yardage-wise of his career with Dak, and a resurgence where he played better than he had since 2015, but since then has gone back to his other numbers. Amari Cooper, will see if him being a great receiver translates to working with the Cleveland Browns or not. But we'll see. It's always going to be shade thrown at Dak, and ultimately, if you say something bad about the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are America's team, you're going to get people to listen to what you're having to say. And that's probably more of the case than anything else. All right, good people. I will be talking to you guys later, and I hope you're having a great day. Peace.